Hello everyone and welcome to a rainy episode here in Belgium. The weather is not really that beautiful today, as you can see, but I have some work to do on several of the cars. I am going on a small holiday next week and on some of the cars there are some loose ends that I need to tie up. And the first car with a bit of a problem is the Audi A6.
All my friends, yellow rider.
It is parked over here next to my brother's Lupo, and yeah, something is wrong with the suspension. Something in the air suspension has clearly failed, dropping the car all the way down to the ground, which sucks because it happened while we were trying to tow our trailer. So yeah, now we are using the Volvo, which is also nice, but this is a bit more comfortable to tow with. So yeah, I'm quickly going to take a look at it and maybe it is an easy fix. And then my dad can use this while I am away. Okay, let's see how this thing starts, because the glow plugs are on their way out and the car has been sitting for over a month, so usually it takes a couple of cranks before she turns over. Ah, great. That noise is the air compressor, as you can hear. The green light is going on all the heater. Okay, let's see if she cranks. Not bad at all. Normally she should have lifted up by now, but clearly she's not going to lift up anytime soon. So I am going to put her on the lift and see if we can find an issue. Well, no need to look any further. That is pretty clear that the airbag has popped. I don't know what happened here because it's a pretty big tear, but yeah. Luckily I have a spare airbag laying around from the last time the suspension failed on me, so we can fix it immediately. I am really surprised by the extent of the damage, because it is a pretty big tear. I think it might have something to do with the trailer being hitched to the car while it was parked overnight. Maybe the bag deflated a bit and something got cut in the process, who knows. Now I'm going to throw this one on and I hope it hasn't developed a leak from sitting here. The bag install went pretty quickly and finally the Audi could rise back into all-road mode. Okay, so this is now after I went on my holiday. I am back and unfortunately the only thing that I could do to the cars before I left was the airbag on the Audi. The Audi braking again illustrates why I wanted to get another daily. Although I like the car very much, it just seems to be braking all the time and it is always really expensive to fix it. Fortunately, this fix was pretty cheap because I had a spare one laying around. And I wish I could show that the car was doing well during the last week, But unfortunately, my brother has taken it to work and he has left his Lupo here. Some of you might remember that I drove this little shitbox to college when I was studying. It was my daily back then, and I think I drove it for about 2 or 3 years. But now my brother inherited, and it has a little bit of an issue with the fuel pump, which we are going to look into. But first I'll give you a quick tour of this amazing shitbox, because there is a lot to talk about. First of all, it seems that the car has been in a big accident, because underneath this hood you can see that it was painted green before, so this is a replacement panel. The same can be said about the front bumper. Here you can see that there is green coming through as well, and this little plastic thing has never fitted correctly. But the biggest paint fail is here at the rear bumper, where there is a big chunk of paint peeling off. It seems like somebody has simply painted over the green bumper without sanding it. And I am kind of upset about it, because the guy that did this clearly didn't know what he was doing, but he managed to match the paint better on this car than I did on my BMW. But then again, I don't really know what I'm doing either. The car is an open air, but they should have called it an open water, because as all open air roofs, it leaks. My brother has gone through an effort to try and fix it, but if you take a look at the headliner, it is clear that there is still a lot of water coming in. Other than that, the inside is pretty boring. Although there is this cassette storage thingy, I've never seen this before, and it is filled with these Asian cassettes. And I've actually never tried to listen to what is on these, and I'm pretty curious. If somebody can tell me what is written here, I would be really grateful, because my Mandarin is a bit rusty. And because of the Asian theme that is going on in this car, I also opted to go for a set of performance Asian tires. All jokes aside now, I have to say that while I was in college, I really enjoyed driving this thing around. It is great to drive something that doesn't cost anything, it never breaks down, and you don't really have to care for it that much. And although you might not get a lot of ladies driving this thing around, you know that once you get a girlfriend, she loves you for you. And your big dick. This car has been having some fuel pump problems. My brother one day was at work and the fuel pump that was originally in this car died. So I borrowed one from one of my friends, but that one has since died as well. So now there is a check engine light and the car is running quite rough. So on one side there is the check engine light, which probably has something to do with the fuel pump not delivering enough fuel pressure. And then on the other side we have a light for low fuel, but my brother assured me that the tank is completely full. So we are going to have to look into the fuel float as well, because there is something wrong with the level sensor. All of those things are located behind the back seat, so let's take them apart. This is the fuel pump assembly, and it is what we are going to be taking out. It also contains the fuel float. But before we take it out, I think it is a good idea to drain out all the fuel, because in some gas tanks this point isn't the highest point in the tank, and then if you have a tank that is completely filled with petrol, it might happen that it overflows once you take out this assembly. So to play it safe, I am going to drain out the fuel first. And to do that, I rigged up this old fuel pump with some hoses, and we're going to connect it to the 12-volt external battery that I have here, and hopefully like that we can drain out all the petrol quickly. So the electric fuel pump that I had was a disaster, that didn't work. Then I got one of these manual pump thingies, that didn't work either. So I came up with a new plan, and that is that I am going to hotwire the pump that is in the tank to the battery. The pump in the tank still works, it is just acting up sometimes, that is why we're replacing it. But I think it will be good enough to drain out the fuel. So as soon as we're going to be putting 12 volts on it, it's going to be pumping the fuel to the front of the car, to the fuel supply. But I disconnected it from the injectors and then put a hose in here that goes to the jerry can. And hopefully like that we'll be able to drain the fuel. Doing this probably wasn't necessary, but I rather play it safe. I took out about 10 liters, which should be enough to keep the tank from overflowing. Now it's time to take out the assembly. With the fuel pump out, the new one can go in, and then the assembly can be slapped together again. I am also going to replace these two hoses because they are made out of harsh plastic, and once you take them off the fittings, they don't really want to seal back onto them. So that is why I bought some of these rubber submersible fuel lines that I'm going to replace those with. Off camera, I also adjusted the contact for the fuel level sensor, so that should be fixed. This is the final product, and now it can go back in. After all of that, the car seems to be running normal again, and the fuel gauge works. And the quick test drive confirmed that everything is okay. Now that the Lupo is done, the last thing that I want to do in this episode is to take a look at the rear brakes of the Mini. Pretty soon the Nordschleife is going to open, and I really want to have a go at it with this car, but currently the rear brakes need a bit of maintenance, so I've got some new rotors and pads lined up for it, and then it should be good to go on the ring sometime. The brake disc locking screw clearly didn't want to cooperate. I tried lubrication and heat, but still it didn't want to move, so I took some drastic measures. I put the caliper back on and pulled up the handbrake, so now the disc is locked. I'm going to try with my breaker bar to see if I can get the screw out, but I think it's just going to break in half, just like it did on the other side, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, there it is. God damn it. Surprisingly, the wear sensor was untouched, so I remounted it and that is job done. That is everything on my urgent to-do list done, and it means that we can start focusing on the classics again. Particularly the Audi fix was important for what is going to come hopefully in the next episode. You might remember that in the previous episode I hinted that something special might be coming if we hit 100,000 subscribers, and I can confirm that something new is coming to the channel as soon as we hit that goal. At the time that I'm recording this, we need 285 subscribers more, and then we hit 100,000, which by the way is mind-blowing. I still remember a time where I was happy that I hit 500 subscribers, and now we are pretty much at 100,000. It's really crazy. So there is nothing left to say, but thank you. Thank you to everybody who has been watching these videos. Thank you to everybody who has been subscribed. And thank you to all of my Patreons. I also quickly want to say that the last few days I have been following what has been happening in the Ukraine, and I think it's just terrible. And I just want to let you know that my thoughts are with everybody in the Ukraine that has been affected by the situation, but also the innocent Russian people. My thoughts are also with you. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.